Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Agabane101 and welcome to Rogue Legacy. Rogue Legacy is a Metroidvania style game where you are an heir to your father. And when you die, your heirs will take over for you. Yes, this is a Rogue-lite style game by the creators known as Cellar Door Games. They are fantastic and have made a genius game. This game is a lot of fun and I've sunk in a lot of time into it already. Hours and hours upon hours. It's pretty fantastic. Let's look at the options menu real quick. Not too much here, but the game really isn't all about graphics and everything like that. Yes, many people could put it, graphics are not gameplay. And that is, in fact, the case. However, the graphics do look quite nice, and they really do suit the style of game that it is. Of course, the nice thing is you can get resolution of 1920 by 1080p. There are music and sound effects sliders, which are extremely useful for people like myself, who love to edit both of those things whenever they are making videos. There's also a nice feature called Enable Quick Drop, which means you don't have to press the jump button whenever you want to go down ledges, which I've activated myself. There's also even the ability to activate your joystick dead zone. If you don't know what that is, some joysticks tend to have their joystick is moved slightly to the left or the right. And it happens very frequently, so it's nice actually to see a game like this using that. I'm using a Xbox 360 controller, however the PC controls seem to be pretty good from what people have been saying. It's kind of like a 50-50 split though. Some people think that the controller is a lot better than the PC controls and vice versa, so that's how it is. There's also digital input gamepads that you can enable as well in case you want to use those. And of course you can change your controls at any time and even delete your save if you don't want to use your save anymore. So yes, here's one cool thing. You can actually see who died last or who you're currently playing as. As you can see, there's a rest in peace sign of my Lady Stephanie 5. Now this is not a card game in any way, shape, or form. You'll see that very quickly. But it's kind of cool that they give you a little bit of an aesthetic, making it look kind of like a card game. Because this game is very based on slightly RNG with RPG-like elements, which is very, very cool. And as you can see, she made $11,261. This is actually my most profitable run in the entire game yet. And I'm not only level 108, but I am level 108, and that took me quite a bit of time to actually get there. However, I was spending a lot of my money on other stuff rather than actually leveling up my character. Which actually leveling in the game is quite interesting indeed. And so let's get right into it. So as you can see, I can choose my heir. So we'll press A here and we can choose up to 3 different heirs. And here's my long line of family history. Oh, it's so sad. Yes, we started in the year 500-ish, and now we're in the year 4001. However, the actual game doesn't advance in time. It's actually always medieval time, but at least the game lets you know that you are doing terribly all the time with all your dead children. Oh, how morbid indeed. Now, each children is different. No one is born perfect, or not everyone is born perfect, actually. However, this guy is born slightly perfect. He's a dragon. Yeah, some of my kids are dragons. I know. I know how to treat the ladies, and I get dragon kids. I get dragonborns, Fusroda, and all that. Yes, Lady Priscilla the 6th is a fantastic man-dragon. And she can only fly. She cannot jump, but she can always cast fireballs infinitely, which is actually pretty cool. And that's one of the magic spells in the game, except for when you're a dragon, you always have fireballs, and you never run out of magic, which is pretty darn cool. We also have Lady Stephanie the 6th. Yes, lots of ladies being born here. She is an archmage. She has a beard. Everyone in my family has a beard if they're an archmage. It's just kind of that normal thing when you're playing video games. Or when you're in my family, anyway. These are powerful spellcasters, and every kill gives you mana, which actually makes them pretty darn useful. There's also spell swords, which whenever they hit an enemy, they get 10 MP. However, they start with very little MP. This person is stereo blind. Hey, not everyone's perfect. Can't see in 3D? Not a big deal. It's a 2D game. And also, we have Sir Darwin the 7th, a barbarian king, who can cast Fusroda at any point. Or Rusroda, whatever it's actually called in this game. He has hypergonadism, which means you're perma-roided, and your attacks knock back enemies. He also has OCD, so he needs to move a little bit fast. Or sorry, no, he doesn't move faster with OCD. That's actually ADD. Or is that ADD? I don't even know. Is that ADHD? I think it's ADHD, but I could be wrong about that as well. Everyone has some sort of ailment in this game. But anyway, OCD makes it so when you destroy stuff, you actually get mana back, and that's the only way you actually get mana for this guy, which is kind of cool. Barbarians are pretty tough. They have lots of health as well. So let's go ahead and pick Sir Darwin the 7th. He'll be our lovely guy. So here's how you level up your character. You build your castle, and as you build your castle, you get awesomer stuff. And the castle even goes all the way up to here, which I've unlocked bestiality, which makes me have a dragon, which is actually pretty cool. Now, I also unlocked a thing called randomized children, so if I ever wanted to and I didn't like the role of children I had, I could just switch them out with other children, because that's how DNA testing works. Yes, I use sciencey things to change things into better things, and all of that. Yes, whenever you put a single purchase onto one of these upgrades, you level up by a point of 1. And it's only used with the money of your previous ancestors. So, once you use this money, it's going to be gone forever. Until you get more money. And you actually need to spend this money because you will be giving it away to Death himself, who I haggle with to keep at least 18%. However, at the start of the game, you give him 100%, which is a little bit sad. You can also even get Death Defy. You can defy Death itself, not only haggle with Death, but actually just say, LOL, I never die, but it's a pretty rare chance, but a 1.5% chance isn't so bad. You can also increase things such as your armor up and your downstrike up, which downstrike is actually pretty useful, and I'll show it off a little bit later. We also have equip up, which increases the weight that you can carry on your character. Yes, there is a weight system in the game, so you cannot be wearing the best armor of all time unless you start spending money on this specifically. You can increase your health, which, of course, increasing your health can always be useful. Even your critical chance up and your critical damage up as well. One thing I'm going to spend right now, since I have the money, is I'm going to increase the amount of gold I get by 10%. This costs $6,380, and that is not an easy sum to come by. So I'm going to spend it right now, because I think that's probably the best bet. Now, I could have also picked haggle, but I'm not going to worry about haggle right now. I don't think that's actually something I'm worried about. However, I think what I'll do is increase my attack and increase my health. There we go, $346 left. Thank you, previous ancestor. You are awesome. You made my life much, much better. So these are some of the people that will help me on my adventure before I march into the quest and defeat everything within the giant castle. Yes, we can buy many different kinds of weapons. This weapon here will actually weigh 5 more than the previous weapon, but also give me plus 5 damage, which means it's a little bit better. We also have the Sage Sword, which even gives me a plus 10% gold bonus, and even the Vampire Sword, or the Blood Sword in this case, which gives me plus 1 to Vampirism. And if you don't know what Vampirism is, when Dracula kills people, he gets their health. Yes, indeed. And I really want to do a Vampirism playthrough because I have the entire blood, helm, chest, armor set of awesome, and it does look pretty cool. I'm actually currently even using some of the vampire stuff as well. I'm using his gloves and boots, as well as nothing else, apparently. I thought I was actually using a bit more than that, but I guess that's not really the case. Now, the Vampirism, or the Blood Gear, I guess I should be calling it, does take away 30 health, but it usually is pretty darn useful. Alright, so we can also buy things such as runes that you find throughout the dungeon. Runes are pretty hard to come by. They're not exactly the easiest thing to find. And when you find them, there's usually a challenge involved into doing that. So I'll show you guys a little bit later if we actually run into any of those. You can buy these runes and attach them to one piece of equipment each. So there's 5 pieces of equipment, and each piece of equipment can get 1. And every piece of equipment can get the same thing, which will increase the potency of the item. So say I have the new chest piece here. It is a flying ability, allows me to fly for a whole second in flight, which actually is pretty useful. I currently have one of these attached to my gear already, but if I want to put a second piece on, it will fly for 2 seconds instead of just 1, because I have 2 amplifying each other, which is definitely pretty cool. But instead, I'm using the Retaliation rune, which is pretty awesome. It does damage to the enemy when the enemy does damage to me, so that's always fantastic. It's actually really cool when you're perma-roided as well. Now this guy here, he will take 30% of your earnings, just flat out 30% of your earnings if you want to lock down the castle. So, say I make $10 normally when I go into a randomly spawned castle that has random rooms and everything like that. I've never been in that castle before. But if I pick this guy and want to go back to a previous castle that my previous ancestor has gone to, then I would only be getting 7 gold per coin within that fight. Which, actually, you know what? I'm going to do this because I know I have access to a boss room. So I'm going to do this anyway. Alright. So let's go into the castle itself. So I have $346. I have to give the Charon, the evil asshole that stands in front of the Castle of Doom, his stuff. So as you can see, since I have OCD, if I kill everything, I get 1 MP no matter what, even if I'm at maximum MP. You may also notice at the top left of the screen, you can see my level. I'm 111, which is the most awesome level of all time. Yes. And also I'm pretty decently powerful as a barbarian as well, because I increased my damage. Increased my strength. So yes, you may be noticing that this does look very much like sort of a Castlevania style game, mixed in with some of the Metroidvania or Metroidvania style gameplay mechanics and things like that. There's even abilities that remind me of a lot of the things you could do in the original Castlevania game, like the axe throw. There's an axe throw spell that you can actually just throw, and it goes up in an arc and falls downward, which is actually pretty darn cool. So obviously I've done this area before, and whenever I grab one of these, normally I'd be getting, I believe it's 13 gold. Oh, no. I'd normally be getting 11 gold, but instead I am only getting 8 because I only get 70% of what I got because I've already been here before. Or not really, this guy hasn't been here before, but his father has been here before, so therefore I have to pay for that. And the idea is that if you want to practice against a certain boss, you can do this, which is really useful. There's always a teleportation to each boss room that you get to. I've already killed 2 of the bosses in the game. There's 4 to open a door at the beginning of the level. And then, after that... Ooh. One sec. There's a lot of dangerous things in here. And then after that, there is a final boss, which I have no idea who the final boss is. I think it's the king of the castle, or someone that killed the king of the castle. That's all I know from just the beginning cutscene that you get in the tutorial. Some guy kills the king. Not really a spoiler or anything like that, because literally it happens in the tutorial. So, yeah. Alright. So these rooms are pretty interesting, because there's always scenarios that you get into which just either really help you out or really just ruin your life. That happens quite frequently with this game. Many different monsters have many different abilities, especially when you get into the different areas here. I'm currently in the tower of the castle, so this place is basically the third hardest area or something like that. Like the easiest area is the first area you always go into, which is like the main stuff, and then there's a little foresty area, which is like the second hardest or something like that. Or second easiest, I don't know. The second easiest one I think is the forest, and this is the third easiest. If that makes any sense at all, I don't even know. I'm really horrible at this game apparently. I'm not paying attention to all these tells. Aha. Okay, so as you can see on the map, I'm the little white dot flashing there in the middle. On the far right of this room, there is in fact a little treasure chest, and that contains a rune. You're supposed to meet some sort of requirement in most of these rooms, like this one wants me to defeat all the enemies. And when all the enemies are defeated, I will be able to open the chest of awesome. I can also use magic as well, so I can use the B button here on my Xbox controller, and I'm able to cast magic. In this case, it's throwing little knives across the map here. Now, this game is in no way an easy game. Actually, starting out, it's probably one of the hardest games I've had the pleasure of playing. Of course, Dark Souls, it does have that element of Dark Souls, of discovery and interesting little bit of lore. Maybe not as in-depth of lore, of course, as Dark Souls, but it's very, very cool in its own 2D way. And I really enjoy the 2D aspect of it. It's very, very addicting. You never really feel like the game is letting up on its difficulty. And there we go, we defeated all the monsters, and we finally got the Vault rune, which I believe just makes me jump higher, but I'm not entirely sure. I currently have a rune that allows me to double jump. You can't normally double jump in the game without using this rune. I think you get the double jump rune like right at the beginning of the game, which is kind of cool. So here we go. Now we are at the boss room, and as you can see, my previous ancestor already opened these treasure chests. How else do you think that my previous ancestor was able to make so much cash? Nah. Okay, so if I was a dwarf, I could actually go and get this treasure chest up here. So there is some benefit to actually being different than your other family members. It's not that big of a deal because usually these treasure chests don't have that much money. But you know, who am I to say, because I've never actually been a dwarf that's been able to find one of these spots to go in. It only happens whenever I'm a normal-sized human, I guess you could say. There's also gigantism, where literally the description is you were born to be a basketball player. And actually it's really, really hard when you're playing as that. This one here is pretty useful. Well, I don't know what the coin does. Charon's Obol. It does something. Maybe it makes me more money. It looks like a coin, right? So it'd have to make me some money. Money's always good. Now, there's many different classes in here. There's like assassins. There's Splunketeers, which make more money than normal, but they have no real stats that are any good, which means you'll be a lot weaker than most of your other ancestors. So they're kind of risky in their own way, but if you're good enough, you can actually make quite a bit of bank, which I did previously in my previous run. And these runs could go anywhere between 5 seconds and a good hour or so, because these runs are really fun, and it really does, the time really does add up, because you always want to just go back into your castle. You're like, oh, I was so close, I almost got that treasure, I really want to get that treasure, things like that, which makes your life so much more fun. I've never really wanted to always just keep coming back, knowing that like these monsters are just ridiculously powerful, and you know, I maybe shouldn't even be there, right? But you know, if I can get better at the game, as I do better. Oh god, I'm gonna die here. I'm going to get murdered. I'm gonna get raffle stomped. Oh, here we go. Got him. There we go. I do have a bit of health absorption. Yes, absorption. No, it's absorption going on. So whenever I kill a monster, I get a little bit of experience here. Hey, a Guardian Sword. That sounds something pretty good. Guardian Sword might actually be pretty useful here. Alright, let's head on down. Now, I have way too low of a health right now that this is just ridiculous. I think what I should have done is just equip the full... Oh, I died. I slipped and impaled on spikes, guys, okay? Okay? Wasn't even my fault. Alright, let's do a boss fight and just show you guys what that's all about before we run out of time here. So that's a Splunketee. I think that's how you pronounce that. This person has dyslexia, and literally dyslexia is exactly how it is in the real world. You just can't read stuff. If you read any of the little novels that are around, like your previous ancestor or your very first ancestor wrote a little book as you go around, and you can read them, his journal entries, and if you have this perk, you cannot read it. It's really, really funny. Luckily, your future ancestors will be able to read it. Aha! Hokage! Believe it! Yes, indeed. We'll be Hokage. He has ADHD, and he's savant. He's very talented, with a few issues. Which means that whenever I use an ability, he will change and get a new ability. Hey, my coin actually is carrying over. Cool. I didn't know that would actually carry over. That's kind of cool. Okay, so we have a new Guardian Sword. It actually gives me armor. A sword that gives me armor. That's kind of cool. I'm going to go for the Ranger Sword here. It seems pretty good. Yeah, there we go. Hokage are very interesting. They don't critical hit. They do not critical hit, and... Oh, here. I just want to go through. Alright. Getting sidetracked here. Maybe I have ADHD as well. Oh, what was I talking about? Oh, no. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. They have very interesting abilities. They cannot critical hit, except for they do ridiculous amounts of damage anyway, so... They are very, very powerful. I find them way better than assassins. Hokage are pretty much the best. They start as shinobi, but let's be honest here. Everyone wants to be Hokage. Believe it! Believe it. Indeed. And ADHD Hokage are, like, literally the best thing in the world. Not even figuratively. They are literally the best in the world. They are super powerful. They're still pretty risky. But, I mean, if you have ADHD, I mean, it's pretty damn good. You're pretty powerful. Oh, God. Unless you're horrible at video games. Now, I didn't actually lock up the area, so I was going to show you guys a boss fight, but I completely forgot. So that's always awesome. Let's see. Oh, well, we found the starting boss room. That's always cool. Alright, let's do this. Let's go try and, oh, hey, we found another treasure chest. We are littered in gold. Yeah. This is what I like to do anyway. I never actually really lock down areas anymore because it's just not fun. doing the same level over and over again, and the RNG aspect of the game really makes it stand out. I really like to look at this new blade as well. It's pretty darn cool. Let's find out what the jungle area looks like. Yes, this is the jungle area. It's not so bad once you get used to some of the monsters here. A lot of the game is learning how the monsters work, and how powerful they are. Owie. Oh my god, I keep flying into that guy. Damn you, ADHD. This guy has pegged me so many times. Oh my god. That was brutal. Okay. Whoa. This game goes by in a blink of an eye. And yes, I'm aware that rhymed. Oh, okay. We gotta find some cool stuff. But this is Rogue Legacy. It's a lot of fun. I've been spending a lot of time in it. It's certainly one of my new favorite games. And there might be a review coming out soon. I haven't actually beaten the game yet, so that's probably why I haven't reviewed it yet. Because you shouldn't really review games that you haven't beaten, right? Probably not a good idea. Thanks for watching, folks. Be sure to check out the game on Steam. It's currently on sale for $11.99, although I don't know how long that's going to last for. I'm assuming because it's a Steam summer sale that it'll last until the end of the summer sale. And I'm sure there'll be a flash sale for the game at some time. But until next time, I'm Ackerbane101, and I'll see you next time.